side of the ball?
Usually, I mean, like you said, we played, what, 2 years? Everything's pretty much the same stuff. Defense, offense, we know everything there about. Yeah, as I said earlier, we know everything they're trying to run. So we just form a game plan around that, and yeah, we know they're a team that loves to get to the free throw line, and our goal is just to limit second chance opportunities and just do best about that.
That wasn't a post-game interview. That was a confession, broadcast live for the entire world to see. That was Alyssa Thomas, a veteran of this league, pulling back the curtain and revealing the one secret the Indiana Fever organization hopes you never find out. Everything's pretty much the same, she said. Defense, offense. We know everything they're about to do. This is the story they don't want you to know. This isn't just about a team in a slump. This is about a coach systematically dismantling the careers of two of the brightest young stars in the WNBA. This is a story of betrayal. And tonight we're going to prove that Stephanie White isn't just losing games. She is actively sabotaging the futures of Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. To understand the depth of this professional malpractice, you have to start with Aliyah Boston. Remember her? Last year's Rookie of the Year? The cornerstone? The franchise player who was supposed to anchor this team for a decade? Where is she now? Watch the tape. She looks completely lost. The confidence is gone. The dominance has vanished. Fans are comparing her struggles to Angel Reese, and that's not even fair to Angel, who's actually playing better. Boston is missing layups, looking hesitant, a shadow of the player she was just 1 year ago. Is this a sophomore slump? That's the easy excuse. That's the story the Fever want you to believe. But the truth is far more sinister. When Alyssa Thomas says, "We know everything they're about to do," she is explaining, in no uncertain terms, why Aliyah Boston is failing. The league's defenses know exactly where Boston is going to be on the floor. They know the predictable, recycled, telegraphed post entries that Stephanie White has been running for years. They know when to double-team her, when to deny the entry pass, how to force her into uncomfortable positions before she even touches the ball. She isn't being outplayed. She's being neutralized by a playbook so ancient and predictable that her opponents can defend it in their sleep. Her regression isn't her fault. It's the direct result of a coach who has put her in an impossible position night after night. Her talent is being suffocated by a system that every other coach in the league has already figured out. The slumped shoulders you see after another missed shot, that's not just frustration. That's the body language of a player who knows she's been betrayed by the very system that's supposed to elevate her. This isn't speculation. This is testimony from the people who are witnessing it firsthand. They're screaming it from the rooftops. But is anyone in power listening?
So lads, Alyssa Thomas, in what is a annoying but unsurprising situation, has completely exposed Stephanie White and has completely exposed a lot of the things that, you know, people that are the Stephanie White detractors have said about her, and I will always stand by this. Defense, offense, you guys might have heard it because it's really low, but defense, offense, it's all the same. We know everything they're about to do. We know everything like they're about to do.
Completely exposed. That's the only way to describe it. Stephanie White was sold to this franchise as the steady hand, the upgrade who would take this young roster to the next level. Instead, with a much improved roster on paper, she has managed to win exactly one more game than her predecessor. Let that sink in. One more game. But the destruction of Aliyah Boston is only half of the story. The real victim, the player whose future is most at risk, is the one they built their entire marketing campaign around, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. Her ability to shoot from the logo, her court vision, her basketball IQ. It's a skill set that should be revolutionary. It's a weapon that in the right hands should be unstoppable. But what happens when you hand that weapon to a coach who only knows how to run plays from 2019? You get chaos. You get frustration. You get a superstar stuck in a rigid, predictable scheme that completely negates her greatest strengths. Before her injury, We saw it all season. Clark, one of the most creative players on the planet, being forced into the same lifeless half-court sets, the same telegraphed pick and rolls, the same system that every opponent has already scouted and memorized. Now she sits on the sideline, out with a mysterious injury with a murky timeline. The team says they're being cautious, but sources inside the league are telling a different story. They say that Clark has lost faith in the system, that she sees the writing on the wall. She knows the schemes don't work. Why would she risk her body and rush back to play for a coach who is actively putting a ceiling on her potential? As one analysis noted, why would she want to jump back into this mess? Her frustration is palpable. You don't even have to look for it. It boils over right there on the court for everyone to see. Look at the game against Phoenix. Even while injured, Caitlin gets into a heated jawing match with Aliyah Boston, one of Stephanie White's former players. While White stands by, it's Clark, the injured rookie, who is fighting the team's battles. She's waving Bonner away, screaming it's not a foul, showing more fire from the bench than her coach does from the sideline. That isn't just a player being competitive, that's a leader seeing a complete vacuum of authority and trying to fill it herself. It's the ultimate sign of a broken locker room, a fractured culture, where the players no longer believe their coach can or will fight for them. And why would they? This goes beyond simple incompetence. This is a staggering conflict of interest. Watch Stephanie White when she coaches against her former Connecticut Sun players, Alyssa Thomas and Aliyah Boston. Does that look like a coach locked in a battle for her team's playoff lives? Or does it look like a friendly reunion? She lights up when she talks about them, even as they are actively dismantling her current team right in front of her face. That isn't rivalry, that's nostalgia. And nostalgia is poisoning this franchise. White's emotional attachment to her past is directly sabotaging her present. She is failing to coach against them, and in doing so, she is failing Caitlin Clark. She is failing Aliyah Boston, and she is failing every single fan who bought into the promise of this new era. The fans see it. They're not blind. They are screaming for accountability. Social media is a firestorm of outrage, a tidal wave of betrayal from a fan base that feels utterly duped. They were promised a contender, and they've been given a team that's become the laughingstock of the league. Chants of #fire Stephanie White are not just a hashtag. They are a desperate plea from people who see their franchise's future being squandered in real time. Stephanie White needs to be fired, one fan wrote. What are the Indiana Fever organization doing allowing her to remain in charge while she sabotages the team? Another put it even more bluntly, this stupid zone has been a disaster. Her rotations suck. She pulls hot hands out of the game. It's insane. They know they've been sold a lie. And the worst part, the evidence suggests this isn't just a coach who is out of her depth. This is a coach whose entire philosophy is fundamentally flawed.
This is the biggest reason why Stephanie White, I think, has been such a success with the Indiana Fever, because they're playing Connecticut Sun basketball. Stephanie White is good at dragging teams down to her level. And you might have said, oh, but like, what about the game? And I do think that 1,000,000% Alyssa Thomas is a frontrunner. I think Alyssa Thomas is a frontrunner. She literally set her career high and didn't even go in for the press conference because Stephanie White beat her. And the difference is the reason why the Fever won that game was nothing to do with their sets and their offense. It was everything to do with Ari McDonald just going head down straight to the basket. And Nate Tibbetts willing to let Ari McDonald drop 30.
Dragging teams down to a level. Think about what that means. Stephanie White's only success is not in elevating her talent, but in grinding the game down to a slow, predictable, ugly affair. That philosophy might have worked years ago, but in the modern WNBA, it's a death sentence, and she is dragging Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston down with her. She is taking two of the most dynamic, high-potential athletes in the sport and forcing them into a system that suffocates everything that makes them special. This isn't coaching, this is malpractice. We are watching the systematic destruction of two brilliant careers, all because a coach is too stubborn or too incapable of evolving. The organization is in full-blown panic mode. You can see it in White's body language on the sideline, pacing, arms crossed, watching helplessly as other teams go on runs, looking more like a spectator than a head coach. You can see it in the players' eyes. The empty scoring from Kelsey Mitchell, whose points never seem to change the momentum of a game. The quiet desperation of Lexi Hull, who plays her heart out, but knows her clutch shots are just plugging holes in a sinking ship. Once players sense their coach has no answers, the locker room fractures beyond repair. The fallout from this is coming. The front office faces an impossible choice: fire the coach they just hired and admit they made a catastrophic mistake, or double down and risk alienating Caitlin Clark permanently. Because let's be crystal clear, superstars do not waste the prime years of their careers playing for coaches who hold them back. If things don't change, Clark will not stay. The championship window they promised will slam shut before it ever truly opened, all because of organizational malpractice. But what if this goes even deeper? What if this isn't just about an outdated playbook and a stubborn coach? Alyssa Thomas didn't just expose a few bad plays. She may have ripped the lid off something far uglier. Remember, just last year, Thomas was the one who bravely called out the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fanbase during the playoffs. She put the organization and the league on notice for the toxic environment their fans were creating. Was her voice heard? Was anything truly done? Some insiders are now suggesting that this very public, very personal demolition of Stephanie White wasn't just a strategic move in a basketball game. They're suggesting it might be payback. Payback for a coach and an organization that she feels failed to protect its players from racist abuse. So the question isn't just whether Stephanie White is a bad coach. We already know the answer to that. The question we should be asking is her incompetence just the tip of the iceberg? Is the destruction of Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston's potential just a symptom of a much deeper rot within the Indiana Fever franchise? We're digging into it, and the story they don't want you to know is only just beginning.